this is Ben here with Point by Patrol, and today we're going to be installing the wide open throttle performance dual oil cooler kit on this Honda Civic Type R. I've added 3 images here so that you can see where the clips are located to remove the front bumper, since oftentimes in the video it's difficult to see exactly where the clips are located. So a top tip when you're removing your bumper is to apply some painter's tape here to the edges so that you don't scratch the bumper, either taking it off or putting it back on. Take note of what I'm doing here on the corner of the bumper. I've just released the clips from the side of the fender, and I've got it pulled away from the snap bracket, and then I'm going to use my fingers inside of the brake cooling duct to pull everything forward, and that is a really effective way to release the clips. I'm doing it here on this side as well. Once you have that part loose from that top snap clip, you just kind of pull forward and it's ready to come off. Try that again. Use the supplied washer here behind the horn, put the bolt through the bracket and then through the washer, and then reinstall the horn. Only 3 bolts hold on the washer tank and 1 is hidden behind it. The other 2 are very obvious and in front. The connection here to the filler neck is only a rubber gasket, so what I'm doing is I'm kind of twisting and pulling down just to try to remove it from the top there. To remove the pump from the tank, you just need to kind of rock and pull, and it'll pull out of the rubber gasket that it sits into. There is no hardware. Here we use the supplied D-ring with the kit. That's the orientation that it's supposed to go, and this is what helps hold it to the new washer fluid tank. Okay, so top tip here, I'm using 2 extensions, 10mm, one of the supplied bolts with the kit, and a piece of plastic here to keep this in so that it doesn't fall out upside down. And this is how we're going to install the new reservoir. Like so. And I'll come back with a ratchet and I'll tighten that up. All right, what I'm doing here, I've got this unpacked. You gotta put your rubber O-ring all the way back to the hilt so it doesn't get caught in the threads. Then you screw it in and then you snug it down. And I'm gonna come back and snug it down with a wrench. All right, so the way to mark this up, it's important that you get this hole lined up in this little kind of U shape right here. And this louver also has holes that run across it, and you're gonna use that for your markup so that you know where to cut. The pen didn't do a good job of marking in here, so we're using a small drill bit instead on the 4 corners to make holes. Okay, so lining up our holes here, we're now going to use the marker as a straight edge to come across. And we know that this, we can see where this louver ends, so we're going to drag here because it's a little bit past. And then we'll do the same at the bottom. And then it's slightly past, so there. This is the end design that you should come up with as your template for where to cut. Okay, so we double checked our holes off camera, everything's looking good there. Make sure that you have your louvers pointed out, as in you want them open this way outside of the tire well area. And now, after drilling the 13/64 holes, we are going to proceed to rivet this into place with the supplied rivets in the kit. You will need to use or purchase a rivet gun. All right, with the louvers done, now it's time to start installing this. I pre-installed these brackets. This is the orientation in which they go. On the passenger side, you have to use this S bracket, and it's going to mount to this hole right here. And there's a bump that doesn't exist on the other side, so you have to use this bracket because of the bump. This is the longest hose in the kit. This is the shortest hose in the kit. This long hose is going to go across to the other oil cooler, and this shorter hose goes to the sandwich plate at the actual oil filter housing. So this part's going to be a little bit tricky, and it's going to take some finagling getting these lines down through here and under the accessory belt. So we're going to take our time with this and really just make sure that there's no chance of any kind of scuffing or rubbing. And also to point out that the top bracket here is going to go to your factory mounting location. It does not have a washer. You simply reuse this, this hardware right here. This is the orientation. You want to have just a slight gap between the body of this and the loop of this. So I've got maybe, I'd call it just over 1/8 of an inch. And then on this side, it's almost touching, but not quite, also around about 1/8 of an inch. And that gets it so that when you push it through, all your brackets line up. I've got this just started slightly hand tight. This is still loose here, and I'm moving this back into place. Once I've got that kind of where I want it, tighten that up as well as tighten this up. And remember again, this back hose here, it needs to go over the brake cooling duct. It can't go in front of it, or else this just doesn't sit how it's supposed to. And so the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to come back and I'm going to tighten this bracket up here. I'll do that off camera because it's going to take me a couple hands in order to get it done. And it's also just not that exciting to watch. The installation of the louver on the driver's side is identical to the passenger side, so we are going to skip that since it is the same exact procedure. So this is how the brackets mount on this side. This is the straight bracket. Remember, on the other side you use the S-curve bracket. On this one it's just straight. This is also the long hose. The long hose connects to the inside most on both sides. The medium hose is going to connect to this. The medium hose routes back to the sandwich plate at the oil filter. So right now we're kind of test fitting where our hose needs to be positioned, and we're going to get everything lined up into place, and then we're going to show you how we did it. I've got the factory filter off, and I have the sandwich plate here. Make sure that these are tight on yours. Sometimes they come loose. I am going to wipe off some of the residual oil, and I'm going to use it to lubricate this O-ring right here. And you'll notice I haven't connected any of these hoses yet, and I'm not going to until I have, I'm going to connect them to this first before I have this center bolt all the way tight. So I'm going to go ahead and put this up. and start to thread the center bolt. There, I've got a little bit of traction on the center bolt, so now I can play with the alignment of this and determine where it needs to sit with these hoses attached to it. So I'm gonna work on that now and get right back to you. All right, so just a heads up, we did make an edit to the way that this is oriented. The reason that we did this is because we needed to pull more of the slack between the filter housing and the actual oil cooler, so that there was not contact with the belt. So that's gonna be something that you're gonna have to do. You can't just set it and forget it. When you go to attach the hoses under here to the filter housing, these are still loose. This is also still loose so that we can see how it swivels, and we can also see what kind of clearance we have to the hose back here. Right now, I've got really good clearance. And one top word of note, again, this is not set it and forget it. You are gonna have to check this multiple times just to make sure that you are not rubbing or chafing with the actual drive belt. You know, it wouldn't be the sort of thing where I'd say that you could trust it 100% of the time, because obviously the motor's moving back and forth, which can loosen fittings. So it makes sense to periodically, when you're doing your oil change, get under here and check to make sure that everything's nice and snug and that there's no chafing between the belt and this hose. All right, now that we're happy with how this is routed, it's time to torque the center nut. That torque spec, and I'm using a torque wrench here, is 45 Newton meters, which is just under 33 foot-pounds. So on a fresh install like that, where everything is dry, very important to go ahead and prime the filter. Keep in mind too that this is thermostatic, and since it's dual oil cooler kit, it's going to take a lot more oil now than it used to, and I don't know what that measurement is. So I'm going to have to, what I'm going to do, I'm going to put 6 quarts of oil in the car. It usually takes about 5.2 quarts for an oil change, but I'm going to put 6 in it. We're going to allow the car to sit here and idle for a long period of time. We're going to cut the car off, and then we're going to check the oil again and see if it's at the same mark or if it's going to need to take more. If that doesn't work, we're going to take the car for a drive so that that thermostat has a chance to open up and get oil to flow through both coolers, and then we're going to top off the oil again. So super important step, but I'm going to go ahead and get this primed. So this is our final routing, just so you're aware. The hoses, long and medium, they run across this metal bracket right here. They really just tuck in here. No need for any zip ties that I can see. I will be checking on it in the future, and if it does move around, I'll secure it with a zip tie. This is the orientation for the hoses and the filter and the sandwich plate that we have, and it allows us basically a finger's width between the belt and the hose itself. So again, and I said it before, you need to get in here and double check this stuff. You can't just set it and forget it and take it for granted, because you do not want to end up with an oil leak. You will, however, I'm sure, get to a point where you feel that you can trust the routing and that everything is okay, and that just comes with time. But otherwise, I did just want to show basically how everything goes here. All right, so this is the final inspection that we're doing right now. We have the engine running. I put 6 quarts of oil in it. Time to get the flashlight out, and you're just checking all of your fittings, every single one of them, to make sure that you don't see any drips or leaks coming out of the car. I might also add that I'm checking my clearance here at the belt, and I've got good clearance right now. All right, so we got the installation done. You can't really tell from the outside, which is great. It's a really stealthy install, and it went really smooth for us. But there were a couple key factors that really made that happen for us. One was actually having access to an automotive lift. It is going to take significantly longer if you're doing this on the ground with a floor jack or even quick jack. I would say if we weren't filming this, it would probably be a 2.5 to 3 hour ordeal on a professional lift. The time only goes up from there if you're doing it low to the ground. Also helps significantly to have a second set of hands, which we did here today. So thank you, second set of hands. Aside from that, don't forget to like and subscribe. If you have any questions whatsoever, put them down in the comments and I'll do my best to respond to you.